course, one of the courses that I've been taking in Coursera entitled Child Development from Synapse to Society. So here I will introduce you my reflection and understanding. So taking the course has been a deeply enriching and eye-opening experience for me as someone who has always been curious about how children grow, think, and connect with the world. So this course gave me a structure and scientific lens which to understand that process. So the course began with Module 1, Introduction to Dynamic of Youth, where I was introduced to the core themes and questions in child development. I learned that development isn't a straight line and that each child grows at their own pace, influenced by both genetic and environment. So this foundational module helped me see development as dynamic process, not just a series of milestones, and I had always assumed children simply grew up, but I now understand that development is shaped by a delicate balance of nature and nurture. So for module 2, talks about brain and motor development. Talk me deeper into the biological aspect of child development. I was fascinated by how much a child brain changes during the first few years of life. I learned about neuroplasticity and how experiences, especially in early childhood, shape the actual structure of the brain. I was also surprised to learn how closely motor development is tied to cognitive and emotional growth. I used to think of motor skill as purely physical, but now I see them as an essential part of child's overall development. Next is in module 3. It's talk about cognitive development. I explore how children think, learn, make sense of the world. I was introduced to classic theories from Piaget and Vygotsky, which helped me understand that children aren't just mini adults. They think in fundamentally different ways. I was especially interested in the idea of zone of proximal development and how important guidance from adults is for children's learning. It made me reflect on my own experience growing up and how the support of adults helped me progress. So for module 4, talks about communication. It opens my eyes to how language develop and how crucial it is in forming relationships and learning. I had always taken language for granted, but now I understand that complex and socially driven it is. I was surprised by how early communication begins, even before babies can speak, and how important back and forth interaction are in shaping language skills. It made me think about how I interact with young children and how even small conversation can have a big impact. The emotional core of the course for me was Module 5, which is social emotional development. This was where I truly felt the weight of what it means to support a child. I learned about attachment, emotional regulation, and the importance of responsive caregiving. What moved me most was the concept of serve and return interaction. Those small everyday exchanges between a child and caregiver that help build a brain and sense of safety. So this module helped me reflect of my own childhood and gave me a deeper appreciation for the caregiver in my life who helped me feel secure and values. Finally, module 6, the big picture brought all pieces together. It reminded me that a child doesn't grow up in isolation. They are shaped by their family, school, community, and society. I was reminded that development happens within a larger system and truly support a child. We must also consider the environment around them. This holistic perspective made me think differently about how policy, culture, and social structure influence individual lives. So one of the biggest surprise for me during this course was realizing how much development is social. I used to think of it mainly as biological or personal process, but now I understand that relationships, environment, culture play just a big role. I was especially struck by how early experiences literally shape the architecture of the brain. I had never thought of love, attention, or safety as biological inputs, but now I see how vital they are to development. So, the most important thing I'm taking away from this course is the understanding that early childhood is a critical window of opportunity. What happens in the first few years of life lays the foundation of everything that follows, emotionally, cognitively, and socially. This isn't just a theory to me anymore. It feels deeply real. It makes me more mindful and more compassionate and more motivated to advocate for children in whatever capacity I can. Looking ahead, I know I'll use what I've learned in both my professional and personal life. In my future work or studies related to education, psychology, or childcare, I'll approach children with more empathy and insight. I'll be better at noticing developmental differences, understanding behavioral cues, and supporting learning in ways that they are developmentally appropriate. I also feel more confident discussing development with others, whether that's with fellow professionals, parents, or policymakers. Even in everyday situation, I'll be more aware of how small interaction can be a big impact. Most of all, this course has inspired me. It's made me want to keep learning, keep reflecting, and keep working to support children in whatever ways I can. And now see, child development is not just a narrow topic, but a something that touches every part of life, from family and education to health, equity, and human potential. I'm grateful to have taken this journey, and I carry its lesson with me always. Hope you too in the future. Thank you very much.